If you're on TikTok and you happen to come across this delightful little elf on the shelf, chances are you're about to hear an extremely bad take. For instance, what does this even mean?
So I can't assume your gender, but you can assume I'm racist?
Take that, liberals! I guess. This smarmy sphinx posting right-wing riddles while he snacks is John McEntee, former director of the White House Presidential Personnel Office under Donald Trump and co-founder of The Right Stuff, a dating app for conservatives with a very important rule.
No Democrats. Can't be a Democrat. No Democrats. So no.
In fact, they're so worried that dirty Democrats will infiltrate the app to get handouts from this prime dating pool that each individual user profile has to be manually reviewed by the company before you're allowed access. And they aren't in any hurry to do that, according to the hordes of horny patriots that have apparently had to wait days, weeks, or even months to get approved. Probably because John is too busy owning the libs in every restaurant across the United States.
Genders are like the Twin Towers. There used to be 2 of them, but now it's kind of a sensitive subject.
But the app must be extremely successful, because they haven't felt the need to promote it at all in the last year. Like at all. Every post on the Date Right Stuff TikTok page uses the same basic formula. With a twinkle in his blueberry eyes, John confidently recites an anti-SJW meme he found on iFunny in 2014, then nods and smiles, as if he just said something profound.
Liberals always say prepare for the future, but how will we if everyone's either aborted or transgender?
Are you aborted or transgender? Tag yourself down below. Now, some of you might remember I actually talked about this guy a while back, but he's posted a lot of content since then, and his audience has only continued to grow, with over 3 million combined followers across TikTok and Instagram. One of his favorite things to do is cosplay what he thinks a liberal is.
This glass is half empty. No, this glass is half full. The water is racist.
You can't even tell the joke properly. God, do I have to do everything myself around here? This glass is half empty. No, this glass is half full. Guys, shouldn't we ask the glass what it identifies as? There you go. I fixed your joke for you. You're welcome. John seems to hold 2 contradictory views of what liberals are at the same time. Liberals are somehow these helpless, sensitive, fringe deviants that normal society points and laughs at.
Liberal at Christmas.
I don't want to get all political, but who bought the boys Nerf guns?
Liberal at a football game.
Are the better teams ever forced to give points to the bad teams?
No.
They should look into that.
While simultaneously being these intolerant, all-powerful figures, working in the shadows, outnumbering the last remnants of common-sense Americans, and hell-bent on destroying their lives.
Love is love. We just want acceptance. We just want equality. Bake the cake or go to court. Say my pronouns or lose your job. Your kids will watch drag shows.
Ah, yes, I remember my first state-mandated drag show like it was yesterday. Snatched from my mother's arms and planted in the front row at the Rainbow Bar. When I saw Anita Man do the splits while lip-syncing Blondie, I knew I'd never stand for the pledge again. Liberals are the least tolerant people on this planet. Liberals are creating a crime and sin against God Almighty, who created male out of his own image, then female. The wrath of God is coming! These 2 comments were literally right next to each other.
So if you spank your kid, you might go to jail? But if you don't spank your kid, they might end up a liberal? Parenting can be kind of tricky these days.
Well, didn't work on me. Maybe a couple more smacks across the ass will do it. Do we have any volunteers?
We live in a time where intelligent people are being silenced so that stupid people won't be offended.
So, which one are you? Because your voice sure is echoing off the walls of that ice cream shop while the gentleman behind you tries to enjoy his dessert. But before we continue, I'd like to take a second to talk about today's sponsor, Liquid IV. Summer is quickly approaching, and here in Texas, that means months of blazing, unbearable heat. It's more important than ever to stay hydrated, and Liquid IV is here to help. Their sugar-free hydration multiplier electrolyte drink mix offers 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink with 0 artificial sweeteners, using their proprietary amino acid allulose blend. Whether you're running, hiking, or swimming this summer, these hydration multiplier sticks are easy to grab on the go, allowing for superior hydration than with just water alone. The raspberry melon flavor has a subtle sweet taste that I really enjoy and is only 15 calories per stick. I tend to stay inside as much as possible between the months of May and September, but when I do venture out into the burning light like a vampire crawling out of a crypt for a quick mental health walk, I need as much hydration as I can get. A big thanks to Liquid IV for sponsoring this video. If you want to stay hydrated this summer, make sure to click the link in my description to try out Liquid IV for yourself. The Date Right Stuff TikTok page is a great way to keep your finger on the red, white, and blue pulse of the Republican Party, since John's TikToks are basically just the Spark Notes version of whatever conservatives happen to be upset about at any given point in time. Specifically, the existence of trans people.
Ever notice that dogs only come in male and female, and even if you chop the balls off one, it's still a male?
I don't know if we should be looking to dogs for advice on how to live our lives, seeing as every dog I've ever owned has devoured their own shit like a succulent Chinese meal at least once, but hey, let's use your logic. Let's take a look at the wacky and wonderful world of the animal kingdom. Female hyenas have functioning penises, and they use them to do butt stuff with their boyfriends. Male seahorses are the ones that get pregnant, not the females. Score for the ladies. Frogs can change their sex based on environmental factors. You don't even want to know what these evil little bastards get up to. All this to say, I think it's a weird and pointless exercise to base an argument about humans on the behavior or anatomy of a completely different species. Anyone who makes this kind of appeal is more likely trying to have a gotcha moment than make a cogent argument, but I think that's kind of the whole problem with the Date Right Stuff account. I don't think these TikToks are being made in good faith. Rather than trying to convince people of beliefs that will maybe better society, John seems to only care about making videos that will get people hashtag triggered for viewership. But judging by the amount of views and likes on his videos, it seems like the things he says are popular with a lot of people, so I'll be treating his TikToks as sincerely as his audience does.
If your main concern is what pronouns people call you, then you're one of the most privileged people in the world.
You know what, John? I actually agree with you here. I think in light of the endless tragedy happening all over the world, it is a privilege for those of us who can take the time to have these nuanced discussions about gender. But if being concerned about what pronouns people call you makes you one of the most privileged people in the world, what does that make someone whose main concern is what pronouns someone else is called? Now, that's a real thinker.
So a 20-year-old can't have alcohol, but a 5-year-old can pick their gender?
I think the solution is pretty obvious, John. Let the kids drink beer. It'll boost their immune systems. Boom, next question. John is very concerned about the next generation and spends many videos describing a fictional universe he created where children aren't being taught math or geography or English, but are spending 8 hours a day in wokeonomics being taught the trans agenda.
So, son, what'd you learn in school today? Multiplication tables? No. The state capitals? No. Spelling? No. Well, tell me what you learned. Men can get pregnant.
Yeah, the education system is a disaster. Kids need to learn useful skills to help them through life, like, financial responsibility. You know, how to pay your taxes and invest your money, and how to not get fired from your job after being investigated by the Department of Homeland Security because of your insane amounts of gambling debt.
Breaking details about another sudden dismissal at the White House. A personal aide to President Trump escorted out of the White House.
You know, just as an example.
So talking to adults at work about sex is sexual harassment, but talking to kids at school about sex is necessary? Strange times.
Imagine trying to sit down and have a nice meal with your family when you're interrupted by a Republican loudly not understanding the difference between age-appropriate scientific discussions of the human body and telling Jan from accounting that she has a nice rack during an earnings call.
If you see a bulge in a conservative woman's pants, it's a gun. If you see a bulge in a liberal woman's pants,
You get excited, right? Yeah. Speaking of guns, I'm sure John has some really helpful suggestions for gun control policy.
if gun-free zones work, why don't we set up free zones?
Why don't we have zones where you aren't allowed to assault people? My name is Funky and I'm here to say there aren't any places where rape is okay. You try to compare rape and gun violence, that's a fallacy called false equivalence. Because while being shot or raped is bad, there's an important distinction to be had. Depending on your hobby or occupation, there are exceptions to firearm legislation. So sometimes it's okay to use a gun, but you should seriously never rape someone, because this is something that you should know. Everywhere you go is a free zone. Ooh. Nope, not there. Not there either. Free zone. Well, I hope that clears everything up for you. Let's move on.
Liberal white women complain that it's too dangerous to walk alone at night, and then they sign petitions to release violent criminals out of prison.
The United States has the largest incarcerated population of any country in the world, and also ranks extremely high in prisoners per capita. The war on drugs locked up thousands for simple marijuana possession, and most efforts for prison reform have been focused on non-violent offenders. Besides, most women would tell you that the type of guy to attack them in the dead of night is often not a violent criminal. It might even be a Stanford student athlete named Brock Allen Turner, a promising young man with no criminal record and a bright future in Olympic swimming who likes to go by his middle name after spending only 3 months in jail. But you don't seem like the biggest fan of listening to women, now do you, John?
So basically, feminism is the idea that women are free when they serve their employers, but slaves when they serve their husband and children?
Oh, John, my sweet, sweet comrade, you are so close. You're right there. This is an obvious straw man argument. What feminism actually states is that women should have the right to choose between working for an employer or providing domestic labor at home. Because we can have a really interesting discussion about whether it's possible to have freedom working within our current late-stage capitalist society, but the fact of the matter is, serving your husband and children is unpaid labor. And if someone doesn't have a choice in participating in unpaid labor, that would make them a...
So the least masculine society in human history has decided that masculinity is a growing threat.
When men like this complain about the attack on masculinity happening in our society, it always makes me laugh because they don't even fulfill the standards for masculinity that they claim to defend. You play pretend on TikTok for a living. You look more out of place in a Home Depot than a Butch and Victoria's Secret. You daintily dip your froyo into a bowl of sprinkles with a limp wrist. Thank God society is reevaluating what it means to be masculine. Or you wouldn't make the cut, Tiger.
Well, we made it to Chicago, where you know what they say, come for the food and stay because you got shot.
Hey, I was just there. I actually vlogged it, and you can go watch that on my Patreon. Spoiler alert, I didn't get shot. John really likes to complain about things like gun violence and homelessness, systemic societal issues that also ravage red state populations. But then he turns around and blames it all on the evils of liberalism.
Los Angeles is run exclusively by Democrats, and they're the ones that say they're going to clean up the environment.
Hey, John, you're stomping through a homeless encampment shouting about Democrats while comparing the human beings behind you to literal trash and pollutants. I understand that you consider yourself to be a good Christian man. That's not a very epic, what would Jesus do moment for you.
It shouldn't matter who you love. I love Jesus.
Cool. So we're just gonna ignore that the Pew Research Center found that 52% of liberals self-identify as Christian, with 45% stating that they believe in God with, quote, absolute certainty, because those are facts, and they don't care about your feeling that everyone who disagrees with you politically is a godless heathen who wants to persecute you for worshiping Jesus. A Jesus that, I'm gonna be honest, John, I don't think would like you very much.
Give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. But deport a man, and you never have to feed him again.
It's so funny that you mention fish, because the Jesus I'm familiar with famously turned 5 loaves and 2 fish into enough food to feed thousands of people, as described in Matthew chapter 14. He did this knowing that the mouths of the very same people munching on his welfare miracle would soon be screaming, "Crucify him." I don't know, I just thought that was an interesting comparison. Look, I could do this all day. Seriously, it's kind of fun. But in the time it took me to write and record this, not even including editing, John has pumped out like 13 more TikToks, accruing millions of views. John doesn't cite any research or credit any peer-reviewed articles, he just states his opinion as fact, smirks at the camera, and continues with his meal. In under 10 seconds, he confirms the misinformed hatred and fear of millions of people, spreads alarmist talking points, and stokes political divisions. Meanwhile, it takes someone like me multiple hours to untangle just a handful of his posts. This, sucks. I can only hope that cutting through all my stupid jokes and cutaway gags, videos like this can at least let someone out there know that there are people on the internet that actually... You forgot my drink, idiot! Oh boy. So you might have noticed that a lot of people are talking about bears right now. There hasn't been an uptick in interest in nature documentaries, and no, they're not talking about that stressful cooking show featuring the tragic little chef with big sad blue eyes. About a month or so ago, a hypothetical was presented in a street interview and started to be shared around social media. Would you rather be stuck in a forest with a man or a bear?
Would you rather be stuck in a forest with a man or bear?
And almost unanimously, women everywhere have answered that they would prefer the bear.
Bear. With a bear. Bear. Probably a bear. Definitely a bear. A bear.
The response to this, of course, has been for men to initiate a thoughtful discussion about the topic.
I never hit a woman violently.
You should expect an encounter with slippery skin soon enough.
No one said anything about serial killers. Nobody said anything about Jeffrey Dahmer.
Would I rather my mom be in the woods with a guy or a creature that would hunt her, jump up, grab her by the face, chomp down, cause her to have to take her thumb, jab it into its eyes?
So, let's talk about it. Just a quick warning up top, we are going to be getting into some pretty dark territory here. While I'll be doing my best to stay within YouTube's guidelines, I'm going to have to cover some upsetting material. So I thought, maybe we could lighten the mood a little bit. Roar. This costume is extraordinarily hot. I already regret this decision, but I'm committed. Now, am I potentially going to make a few people upset with this video? Do I in the woods? Yes, but I think this conversation is very important, so if you are someone who got angry the moment you saw the thumbnail, then I would just ask that you bear with me. Ha! and watch till the end of the video. Okay, let's start off by clarifying some things, because despite the fact that this hypothetical is extremely simple, there seems to be a lot of people unintentionally, and perhaps intentionally, misunderstanding it. First off, you don't get to choose the man you're stuck in the woods with, like this charming fellow whose favorite Pop-Tart flavor is cinnamon. Apparently. That would obviously destroy the whole point of the hypothetical. If it's a choice between a bear or, say, Bear Grylls, I'm choosing the survivalist who will return my happy ass back to its natural habitat, sitting in front of my computer, playing Fallout 4 again, because the only type of light that should be touching this delicate skin is blue. This debate has quickly devolved into one side presenting statistics, personal testimonies, and criminal cases, while the other side taps the heels of their red pill slippers together, screaming, "Not all men, not all men, not all men," with their fingers jammed in their ears. Ooh, it's a random manga panel with barely legible text. I'll be here all week. I'm sure I'm about to read something intellectually stimulating. Remember, it's man or bear, not fist or bear. Hey, quick question, weeb. Who's doing all the assaults then? Because as we've mentioned on this channel before, according to the NSVRC, 1 in 5 women has experienced assault or attempted assault during her lifetime. That's millions of women, and unless they're all being harassed by Diddler Dave, who is skewing the statistics with his incredible efficiency, mathematically speaking, there must be a non-trivial amount of men committing this type of crime. How these MFers feel after making all men feel like they are rapists. Hey bud, you see how these two things are not the same? Isn't it so cool how they are not the same? But since we don't want men to feel bad about themselves, please tell us which ones women should avoid. Do they walk differently than other men? Talk differently? What kind of shoes do they wear? Look, imagine you're at a party. I know, just suspend your disbelief. Imagine you're at a party and somebody walks in with a bowl of M&Ms. Super lazy for a potluck, but whatever. Now imagine you knew that some of these M&Ms were poisoned. Would you take that risk? I mean, come on, they're not all poisoned. What are you, some kind of freak who prefers Skittles? That's the position that women are put in whenever they interact with a man. They have to just put their hand in that bowl and hope for the best. So I'm as bad as any serial killers now. Aw, I'm sorry you came to that completely unrelated and self-centered conclusion. That must be really hard for you. But don't feel too bad for him though, because if you make the mistake of defending pity parties like this one, you might just make yourself a target, like this minor running a Star Wars meme account who said that she would choose the man, and then was immediately overwhelmed by hordes of freaks commenting graphic descriptions of what they would do to her as a reward. Great job, fellas. This is so dumb. If the man is my husband or dad, brother, best friend, he would kill himself protecting you. Not sure what kind of men you guys know. Interesting, irrelevant factoid, Helen. Too bad I don't get to choose your heroic family members and or friends in this scenario. For your information, the kind of men I know are frankly epic, and I love to hang out with them because they laugh at my jokes. But they're also just kind people who are sympathetic and understanding when I bring up women's issues, instead of blowing a blood vessel trying to defend their honor.
I never hit a woman violently. I never put a violent hand on a woman. I never assaulted a woman. No, none of that. Ever.
Wow, man, that's super cool. Should we throw a party? Should we invite the Dalai Lama?
The hypothetical is, would you rather encounter the average adult human male in the woods when you are alone, or a bear? No one said anything about serial killers. Nobody said anything about Jeffrey Dahmer. Stop changing the hypothetical.
Wrong. You were the one changing the hypothetical. The man in the forest could be any man, from the most dangerous, perverted sicko that's ever roamed the streets to a Ned Flanders-esque fatherly figure holding an impossibly delicious mug of hot chocolate. I feel like I'm going insane. It's a random man or a random bear. So questions like, what if the man is nice? What if the man is me? What if I have a gun? What if the man is gay? What if the bear is gay? Are completely irrelevant. The bear is gay, though. Instead of trying to understand why women might feel unsafe around men, many men have decided that women are simply uninformed about the dangers of bear attacks and have taken it upon themselves to educate them.
My mom got mauled by a bear. Here's a book she wrote about it. Here's a better look. So even though the question's not really in good faith, probably, I have some experience with this question.
Just because women are answering a question in a way that makes you personally uncomfortable doesn't mean that the question was asked in bad faith. Now, after going over the details of his mother's injuries, which she thankfully survived, he concludes with this.
So if you're asked this question and you take more than a second to come up with the same species as your answer, then honestly, I'm grateful that you've lived such a privileged life that your answer is the bear.
Interesting. I wonder, would you call Junka Furuta privileged? How about 12-year-old Kimberly Leach? Was she privileged? You know what? I think I'm gonna have to read your mom's book because the details just really aren't adding up for me. You see, I know that bear, it's a good friend of mine, and it's never attacked me. I mean, what was your mom wearing? Are you sure she didn't want the bear to attack her?
It don't sound like that lady wanted to choose the bear. It sounded like she wanted to choose the man instead.
Whoa, wait. You're telling me that bears are apex predators? That they're not cuddly rainbow friends that solve problems with the magic of kindness? That they don't make marmalade sandwiches and talk in British accents? Gulp. What am I gonna do now?
Fellas, would you rather be stuck in the woods with a woman or a bear? Let me know, because I think, you know what? I think I would rather choose the bear. Because at least with the bear's not gonna just date me for my money and in the divorce take half my stuff or more.
The worst possible thing you could think of a woman doing to you is dipping into your bank account, dude? I've seen so many men try to reverse the bear versus man hypothetical to air out their petty grievances with women, only to inadvertently reveal what a different reality they live in, largely unaffected by the day-to-day precautions women must take for their own safety. I shouldn't have to say this, but being nagged or your ex-wife boinking your buddies is not comparable to being attacked by a bear. I think this comment is the perfect response to all the bear-splaining. Worst case scenario, the bear would just kill me. Choosing the bear over the man comes down to a very logical comparison of possible outcomes. The bear is an animal operating off of instinct. You've invaded its home, and if it responds with aggression, it's doing so to either defend or feed itself. A man, however, is capable of prolonged, excruciating, and degrading forms of torture, requiring a level of creativity and hatred that an animal simply could not comprehend. The man understands your screams for help, knows what he's doing is wrong, but continues anyways, not out of necessity, but pleasure. It's that situation that is so horrifying that women would choose being mauled to death by a bear to avoid it. Though what both men and women don't know is that it's actually the crystallized honey epidemic ravaging local bear populations that they should be worried about. As often happens in these situations, men have suddenly decided to elevate a concern that they seem to only be interested in when it serves to silence discussions of women's safety. That is, of course, male victims of female perpetrators. I accidentally tasted the marker. Alright guys, let's make a circle representing all men and a circle representing all women. Haha, boobs. I'm trying, guys. I'm really trying. Now let's make another circle in red representing, well, you get the idea. You see how a lot of that circle is on the men's side? Not all, because you can still believe and support male victims while acknowledging the basic reality that an overwhelming majority of people who commit this type of abuse are men. Isn't it crazy how you can care about both these things at the same time? For any man out there who has been victimized by a woman, I wish nothing but healing for you. But men and little boys aren't considered spoils of war for women to violate by the millions after achieving victory in a conflict instigated and carried out by women. There are no countries where little boys are habitually married off to aging women collecting young males for their harems. There are no places where men are advised to only travel with a female chaperone lest they be attacked in the night by dangerous women. There isn't legislation for digital cameras and smartphones to make an audible shutter noise when taking a picture because women just couldn't stop themselves from taking pictures down men's pants on public transportation. I am enthusiastically in support of any awareness raised for male victims that challenges the patriarchal demand that men stoically suffer their trauma in silence. Baby Reindeer is a recent piece of media that does an excellent job of this, but if you're someone who only mentions their experiences or the experiences of others to weaponize against women, I have to question your motivations. A lot of people have been saying that this hypothetical was only created to make men look bad and stoke unnecessary controversy, which is a convenient thing to believe if you are unaffected by the reality represented by the hypothetical. I'm sure back in the day when men would come home from work and their wives were yapping about having the right to vote, they would have preferred their steak dinner be uninterrupted by such divisive ideas. In response to realizing just how afraid women are of being attacked by men have done everything in their power over the past few weeks to reassure them that they made the right choice. For instance, drawing graphic images of women being torn apart by bears, posting videos of bears eating their prey and joking about it being a woman instead, making up scenarios where they're armed and capable of defending a woman from a bear, but choose not to punish her for being a feminist, using a clip of Pedro Pascal of all people. How dare you invoke his image in vain?
Slippery skin. This unknown entity has been spotted in many places, with recent sightings primarily in the forest. Further research has shown that slippery skin is likely to attack people who would rather encounter a bear than a man in the woods. To increase your chances of safety, we advise against expressing such preferences near forested areas.
Your response to women saying that they would feel unsafe alone in the woods with a strange man was to make an AI-generated video of a monster that hunts them down. Wow, how very cool and normal of you. You definitely seem like the type of guy a woman would feel safe in the woods with.
What men are out there saying how much they want to be violent with women who pick the bear?
As it turns out, a lot of them. Here's some fun examples. In response to a woman saying she would choose the bear, thanks, I'm into so I'll to yours. Or this one that digs a real stinker out of the old 4chan lexicon. Foyd, when I am done with you, you will beg for the bear. I love how there is just a plethora of derogatory terms specifically for women, but incels still had to rub their greasy little noggins together to come up with a spicy new slur. But don't worry, ladies, I'll protect you. I guess when it comes down to it, I'm just shocked that men disagree so strongly with women's answer to the bear versus man hypothetical, because from my perspective, men are constantly announcing to the world how dangerous they are. Last time I checked, women haven't been the ones to dominate directors' chairs in Hollywood, yet the media I've been fed my whole life has been full of dads with shotguns, repressed nerds committing crimes under the guise of harmless pranks, and suave protagonists forcing themselves on young girls. I thought we were all on the same page here. Try this fun social experiment. Tell a man in your life that you think Game of Thrones would have been better without the graphic violence. Watch him combust, insisting that the historical integrity of The show about dragons would be destroyed if he wasn't allowed to watch conventionally attractive actresses stripped and acts of brutality simulated on them from the comfort of his living room. As someone who's been playing video games since these were still popular, I've always been painfully aware of how men will do anything they can to make women feel unsafe in a space they feel belongs to them. It's a well-documented phenomenon that women who dare to impede on this territory are constantly subjected to dehumanizing threats.
Oh, be honest with me. Do you know what feels like?
No, I don't actually.
Well, do you want to know?
Are you saying you're gonna me?
It's not if I like it.
And if you think this type of messaging is exclusive to entertainment, check out this video that recently resurfaced of what was proudly preached in a North Carolina church last summer.
You'll find more women going to have shorts on than you will with pants and dresses put together. I used to say this. I haven't said this in a long time. You ready? I said, if you dress like that and you get ripped and I'm on the jewelry, he's going to go free. You don't like, do you? I'm right, though. Because, you know, a man's a man.
Well, that guy's going to hell. That was Bobby Leonard, and the fact that he was allowed to state from that pulpit what I can only describe as a confession without being dragged out the front doors by his starched collar is a condemnation on that entire congregation. So gentlemen, I guess it's our bad. Our bad for believing you are what you say you are and believing you'll do what you say you'll do. But you're going to have to choose. Either A, men are mindless creatures incapable of controlling their urges so they cannot be blamed for acting on them, or B, men are complex, rational human beings who must take responsibility for their actions. You cannot have both. We are all constantly bombarded with news of the terrible things that men do to women. Our society is obsessed with it, fetishizes it, yet women are expected to turn a blind eye? That is until, of course, something happens to you. Then you're interrogated, shamed for not knowing better, not taking the proper precautions. It's a classic catch-22. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. I think the way we talk about gendered violence is completely wrong. We approach the issue as if the male population is neatly divided into good guys and bad guys, but that's not an accurate reflection of human behavior or society at all, is it? If we limit our perspective to isolated incidents, to bad apples, it allows men who don't participate in the most heinous crimes to get defensive, say, "Not I," and stop listening. But it isn't just men who don't attack women and men who do. It's men who don't attack women and men who don't see the harm in a little locker room talk at the office once in a while. I mean, come on, it's just how men are. It's men who have that one friend in their friend group who they know harasses women, but that's just Todd. You don't get it. That's just how Todd is. It's men who keep demanding a woman's phone number over and over and over again, even though she's already told him she's not interested. You see, if we view male violence as an integrated system where the action and inaction of the good guys fuels and shields the worst offenders, then that's something that every single man can participate in dismantling by calling out bad behavior, supporting victims, and leading by example. But if you're a man that just feels angry and personally attacked by the bear versus man hypothetical, instead of seeing it as an opportunity to be the type of man a woman would feel safe alone in a forest with, then you're probably not the good guy you think you are. Well guys, this has been fun, and also excruciatingly hot, but I have to go back to the forest now. Goodbye! Does your property showcase any unique elements or character? Not for long. My passion passions include demolition, destruction, and Pilates. Oh, yeah! When I'm not giving Holmes hysterectomies, I'm snorting sawdust off a support beam in a gated community with men whose credit scores are California sober. Remember, ladies, the only thing standing between you and the beige, open-concept modern farmhouse of your Instagrammable dreams is a couple of wine coolers and several hundred square feet of drywall. Renovation isn't just a hobby for me, it's a lifelong commitment, and I won't stop till my environment is as colorless as a Lithuanian hockey team. I find I thrive without professional oversight. The only help I need is from my silent and obedient husband, who I proposed to in a Michael's parking lot in 2009. A regrettably less exciting commitment. So come on, ladies, roll up your sleeves. What are you waiting for? One of my social media fixations lately has been watching influencers spend endless amounts of time and money making their homes uglier and worse. Shredding wallpaper, shattering tiles, and of course, paint. So much paint. You put a paint roller in the hands of a couple going through a joint midlife crisis, and the terror they wield over the local housing market is incredible to behold. They told me not to paint the woodwork. Who are they? And why didn't you listen to them? What did those quaint little stained glass birds do to deserve having their staircase nuked with the concentrated power of the entire Hallmark cinematic universe?
Let's talk about my most controversial project, which is putting cement on my wood fireplace.
Here's a joke. What do renovators and lesbians have in common? They're not interested in exposed wood, apparently. But seriously, why do so many renovators think that covering original wood fixtures qualifies as an upgrade?
Now look, it's beautiful, but it's giving church, and I want a more modern vibe. So I mixed up some cement and I slapped it right on. The internet was very angry with me.
Rest in peace. The words modern vibe are basically a death knell for a house. If you're watching a renovation video and you happen to hear the words modern vibe, be prepared to watch an architectural atrocity unfold before you.
So I ended up staining it and it turned out so freaking good. I absolutely love it, but let me know. Do you think that I made a mistake doing this?
Yes, you did. But Lexi, don't feel too bad. It's not just you. Whether it's flippers threatening lower income neighborhoods with both kinds of whitewashing, or people just deciding to DIY their own dwellings, there seems to be an overwhelming push from renovators to eradicate color and detail, to replace the unique charm of individual homes with the same safely resellable copy-paste designs. Because why have a warm, hospitable living space when you can mix things up with a Siberian cell block look? Did you say Siberian cell block? Wow, that sounds so modern and minimalist. Whoa, what are you doing? This place is a dump. I'm here to upgrade it. I'd really rather you not do that. No, don't worry, girlie. I'm doing you a favor. Well, could you at least keep it down? I'm trying to make a video here. Come with me while I turn this sad, outdated apartment into something somebody would actually now, I know what some of you are going to say. It's their house. They can do whatever they want to it. And that's absolutely true. But they're also posting their process online for the public, so I feel, as a member of the public, that I should have the right to about it. And from what I can tell reading the comment sections underneath these videos, a lot of people, like me, are tired of watching the life and soul HGTV'd out of home. My kids refused to speak to me for 3 months until I agreed to stop watching HGTV in the living room. They considered my enthusiasm situationally inappropriate, whatever that means. Oh my god. But before we continue, I'd like to take a second to talk about today's sponsor, Laylo. Whether you're piping, screwing, or some other vaguely suggestive construction term, Laylo has the tools to get the job done. They have a large catalog of luxury toys so you can try out diverse options and find out what's best for your body. All of them are made of ultra-smooth premium silicone and are fully waterproof to ensure quality use and easy cleanup. June is Pride Month, and that means a month month-long celebration of everyone in the LGBTQ+ community. Exploring and stimulating your body is very beneficial for both your mental and physical health. Whether alone or with a partner, Lalo's products can enhance your experience, or provide exciting new ones if you're feeling adventurous. I've always been impressed with the inclusive and uplifting language that Lalo uses to promote their products all year round. This Pride Month, they have a special selection of LGBTQ+ toys suitable for all body types, with exclusive deals this June on toys that complement everyone's anatomy. Make sure to click the link in the description to check out Lalo's website for yourself and use my code FunkyPride to get 10% off on all products. Just be careful with that. If you thought white paint and cemented fireplaces were bad, you're going to be gutted when you see the gorgeous southern mansion that this family gutted.
Let's talk about these stairs. Y'all are absolutely hating the fact that we took these stairs out. Don't get me wrong, they were absolutely gorgeous, but honestly, just not ideal.
Real estate gods, why do you always give your most beautiful homes to your most ungrateful buyers? The up thing is this house is actually not that far away from me. I guess I should have busted a nut to buy it before these barbarians.
Bust a nut to buy a house. To get to the kitchen, you either had to go through the living room, and y'all, I can't wait for y'all to see the after, or you had to walk under the staircase. Donnie's 6'2", and it's just not ideal to walk under to get to the kitchen.
Then find a house that doesn't mildly inconvenience your gargantuan husband. Why did you have to destroy this one?
Even through every single door that you come through, the stairs were the focal point and blocked the beautiful view into the backyard. So it just made sense to me that they needed to be taken out. I think that this is just so much more family friendly. And here's a sneak peek at the new stairs. Bye.
I think a moment of silence is in order. This should be considered an act of domestic terrorism. You should serve jail time, okay? The house could have easily been restored with just a little work. This is the equivalent of someone going in for like half a syringe of lip filler and getting one of those scary Dr. Kim facelifts instead.
Y'all's comments are literally giving me nightmares. But that's okay, everyone's entitled to an opinion. But I'm gonna circle back that this is our dream house and we're just trying to make it as homey as possible.
Guys, we just had to buy it. It's literally our dream house. We just hate the walls, and the floors, and the staircase, and the—
We are going for the modern farmhouse look, but hope y'all still follow along for the journey.
Modern farmhouse, you say? Yeah, the AI-generated Donald Trump t-shirt was a bit of a giveaway. Look, even Donald's upset about it. It was a beautiful staircase, the best staircase even. I can't believe you got rid of it.
We did test out some paint colors, and I'll drop them right here for y'all to check out and let me know your favorite. I feel like this is the hardest thing. I am starting to love City Loft. It's the second color from the left. Scrolling on Instagram, I'm just loving all white houses.
But of course, we can't talk about bad renovations without addressing the German schmear incident. And no, I'm not talking about a delicious bagel topping. I'm talking about a couple of flippers from Florida who made the internet flip out when they decided to update a 1970s home to turn a profit.
Today we are taking this fireplace from hobbitcore to cottagecore. Now a lot of you suggested that we should just clean the stones and it would brighten it. However, these stones have very large dark grout lines that just look dirty even after a good scrub. So we're going to be trying the German schmear technique.
I guarantee, no matter how bad you think this is gonna look, that it's worse than that.
Let me just say that this was a true trust the process project for us, as it was looking a bit scary before we started smoothing out the grout lines. We do still need to complete the look by finding a nice chunky wood mantle and of course replacing those ugly sconces, but here is how it turned out. What do you think?
You know, you should keep the ugly sconces. Hopefully they'll distract from the ugly fireplace. It definitely isn't hobbitcore anymore. I don't really know what kind of core it is, though. I feel like the Germans wouldn't approve. If you're German, comment down below your appraisal of this schmear. This was just one of many unpopular decisions this couple made while renovating. Not a single room in this house was spared from their creativity.
Hands down, one of the coolest features of this property is this gorgeous dedicated studio space. Currently, the main wall has this mid-century wood shelving unit that I love. However, we have something even better planned for this wall.
I'm Sure you do.
Studio was advertised as an artist studio, and we quickly realized it was just lacking the art. Crazy how much happier it truly makes this space feel. Comment below how you would use a studio space like this. I can imagine it so many different ways.
That looks like something that would be painted on the side of a restaurant in a tax code where I am going to be overcharged for underseasoned tacos. If you're a tourist in an unfamiliar city, consider that font a portent of doom for your wallet. Also, maybe I'm just a raging narcissist, but I feel like most artists would prefer their own art to be on the walls of their art studio, not someone else's. However, nothing could have prepared me for what they were about to do to the living room ceiling.
This vaulted ceiling was just begging for a beam.
Me too, girl. Me too.
And today we are finally installing one. Due to the size of the beam needed, we knew we'd have to find a faux beam for us to physically be able to have the strength to lift. We found these vintage style wood beams made from foam from a company called Outwater, which ended up being the perfect solution.
Why do I punish myself like this? It looks like a set piece for an underfunded theater. Actually, I'm pretty sure I saw this backstage senior year when I was playing the baker's wife in a high school production of Into the Woods.
Of course, this room was just long enough that we had to use the second beam, but luckily they have these rubber straps to hide the seams.
I want to make a joke about rubber straps so bad, but I'm pretty sure I've maxed out my innuendo quota for this video. This looks like something I would see on the ceiling of a rainforest cafe. All we need is some artificial shrubbery, some ominous animal noises, put a Rumble in the Jungle rap in my hand, and I'm there. I'm transported.
For lighting, we wanted a mid-century kind of funky light to keep in the 70s spirit for the space, and I am so obsessed with the one we ended up choosing.
Oh, the 70s spirit, of course. You mean the 70s spirit that the house that was built in the 70s already had before you bought it? That 70s spirit? Also, I'm no contractor, but attaching lighting to a foam support beam, that's objectively a bad idea, right? Like, we can all agree on that. Throughout the entire renovation process, the response from viewers was overwhelmingly negative, but this couple ignored all advice and suggested alternatives, instead making fun of the commenters for being upset about the changes.
Never in my life did I think a fireplace DIY would trigger the internet so much that the app would have to turn on anti-bullying mode. Have you been personally impacted by this fireplace makeover? And we are so happy with how the living room is coming along. Hopefully you agree, but if not, I am sure you will let us know. To say we got a lot of backlash for our choices online as we worked on this home would be an understatement, but I am incredibly proud of us for seeing this through.
And that kind of weird antagonistic relationship between these types of accounts and their comment sections is a consistent pattern that I've seen.
Thought I'd give you a little before picture. And yes, we ripped it all out. I was most worried about people's opinions, but at the end of the day, this is our house. We are making this our dream home. It was gorgeous. It was known as the $1 million bathroom. Yep, you got that right. We ripped it out all too.
These renovators are constantly asking for opinions about their work, but they never listen to any criticism and act like victims when they get an honest answer. As if they're being forced to film it and put it online instead of just doing it for themselves. If a millennial knocks down a wall and no one's there to post it, does it make a sound? But of course they keep posting this stuff. They get far more engagement from making people upset than listening to their audience. If you go to any one of these pages, you'll quickly recognize that the videos that do the best are the most divisive. Pissing people off is profitable in an attention-based economy. Often what they're doing is so pointlessly destructive that it becomes painfully obvious rage bait, especially with lower investment projects like furniture. Look at the difference in viewership between two almost identical videos. One where a stool is stained and restored, another where it's purposefully damaged. I mean, look at this one. She's just slapping the paint roller on the top of the table without even using painter's tape. This one might ruffle some feathers. I know what you're doing, Bria. So to anyone who feels like I'm being a bully, remember, this is a balanced ecosystem. They get attention by being dumb on the internet, and I get attention by making fun of them for being dumb some on the internet. It's an entertaining, symbiotic relationship that we share. After the consistent backlash, the Florida flippers were excited to silence the haters by announcing that they had managed to sell the house and turn a profit.
Despite most of the internet actively hating our every decision on that 70s home flip, it is officially sold, so let's break down the numbers and see if we truly ruined it. Subtract our closing costs, the original purchase price, along with our renovation budget, you will see that we made about $92,000 for 4 months of work. So while some of you were sitting and criticizing our choices, we were out here actually putting in the work and building wealth for our growing family. Also, we didn't go over our profits from social media, but go ahead and write a hate comment. It will help fund our next flip.
I don't think selling the house necessarily indicates that the changes you made to the house were good, and this may be a controversial take, but I feel like being a flipper has become an intrinsically parasitic practice. In all fairness, a given flipper might do a fantastic job of breathing life into an old residence, but I feel like the whole process encourages renovations to be done as quickly and cheaply as possible. To do work that will last just long enough for you to jack up the price and dip, so the poor suckers you duped into buying the Frankenstein building don't even know how screwed they are until your upgrades start chipping and peeling and falling apart in less than a year. I mean, did you tell the buyers about the foam beam? More than that, flippers have the greatest incentive to get rid of the charm of outdated homes, remodeling them to be boring and colorless because, after all, the house is being designed to sell, not to be lived in.
Ultimate goal here is to take one large size bathroom and make 2 normal size bathrooms. This will take the house to a 3, 2.5 instead of a 3, 1.5, which will increase the value.
If it's all about increasing the value of the home, then any unique features are just an obstacle to selling the property, and it should be unsurprising when these are demolished or painted over to appeal to the widest possible range of buyers. But I think there are a few other reasons for the disconnect between people posting renovation content and the people consuming it. While not a complete answer, there's definitely a generational difference at play. On average, the people who have the money and resources to renovate houses are from a different generation than the younger people who are the most active online and engaging with the videos. So the people watching tend to have a very different taste than the people posting, which is why you see all the comments specifically mourning millennial design choices. In general, millennials tend to be more interested in minimalism, while the younger generation has already started to get nostalgic for their parents and grandparents' more opulent decorating. There's definitely an underlying resentment and helpless frustration from young people having to watch homes get ripped apart before they can even participate in a housing market with prices still so far out of reach. The way these renovators talk about the previous owners and their decisions can also be very off-putting. There's often such an air of superiority and contempt in their voices while talking about the fixtures that make an older building unique.
Let's demo the master closet, or at least that's what the previous owners called this.
Padded fabric walls. Circus curtains. More padded walls.
They like their texture.
As if in a few decades, a brand new family won't be wandering through those rooms laughing at your dated choices and going through so much paint stripper to uncover what you tried to hide. Because this isn't really a new phenomenon, it's been happening for a while now. A few decades ago, shag carpet and linoleum were being stapled and glued down to gorgeous bare hardwood floors, and now everyone's desperately trying to get rid of it. But I think social media in an unstable housing market has accelerated this cycle to the point that people are spending thousands of dollars to adhere to trends that are already starting to die out. There's also the basic fact that these renovators are taking a finite resource and destroying it to create an infinitely reproducible one. There are only so many older homes left, while there are countless homes already updated with modern furnishings. If you have a style you like, that's fine. No judgment. no matter how ugly it is, but it just seems wasteful to buy a home specifically that has unique decor only to rip it all out and replace it with stuff anybody could buy off of IKEA. If you want a modern home, why not just buy a modern home or build one even? Look, I can't pretend that I'm not a little biased. Okay, a lot biased. I've shed a tear or two over houses in my local area being demolished and replaced by these monstrous monochromatic cubes, okay? But I think people are justified in getting upset at these renovation videos, and I think someone complaining about the loss of these beautiful homes doesn't necessarily make them a hater. Darla, what are you doing?
Oh, I was just taking out this wall real quick. It'll really open up the space, don't mind me.
Darla. That's the bathroom wall.
Yes!
So, typically, people have, an expectation of privacy when they use the bathroom.
I don't understand!
Darla, listen to me. I know you love to DIY.
I won 3 DIY competitions this past year. They weren't competitions until I showed up.
That is concerning. I need you to understand that a little color, a little detail, is okay. You don't have to get rid of it. I think if you look deep inside yourself.
What the f***? Sounded like you were gonna start monologuing
I'm
again.
not getting my deposit back! We're live! Yeah, okay, Somebody's getting fired. Very funny, guys. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Internet Report, news that doesn't matter and that you probably shouldn't care about. Here on the Internet Report, we put you first by serving you the sloppiest seconds that my last month of doom scrolling has to offer, summarizing countless hours of pointless online drama so you can get back to the news that actually matters.
He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards.
Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. The reason I got my handicap.
Blah, proper name, place name, backstory stuff.
Bad example. Given that we're all collectively standing around democracy's lowering casket, bidding our final farewells, we should probably start with something light today, like, Dr. Disrespect admitting to grooming a minor. Okay, who writes these? That's right, a second plane has hit the content creator community. Or is it 3rd? 5th? Honestly, there's been so many creeps exposed in the last few years that I've just lost count. It's starting to feel like once someone hits a certain number of followers, they should just automatically be put on the sex offender registry to save everyone the disappointment and paperwork. Apparently, being a millionaire adored by countless fans, having a gorgeous wife, and standing at 6'8" tall wasn't enough for old Herschel. Oh no. There was still one minor achievement still outside his freakishly huge grasp. Back in June of 2020, the popular streamer was banned permanently from Twitch for an undisclosed reason, sparking a wildfire of conspiracy theories that remained officially unaddressed over the following years. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, ex-Twitch employee Cody Connors tweeted this on June 21st. He got banned because got caught texting a minor in the then-existing Twitch Whispers product. He was trying to meet up with her at TwitchCon. Despite not name-dropping anyone, it was clear that the target of this accusation was Dr. Disrespect. On June 24th, Midnight Society, a company co-founded by Dr. Disrespect, tweeted that they had recently been made aware of allegations, had performed an internal investigation, and had decided to terminate their relationship with him. This announcement received a very mixed response, with many fans and creators demanding that Midnight Society justify their actions by making evidence public. But it was Dr. Disrespect Age of Consent Laws himself that would deliver the final blow to his reputation on June 25th. Hello, I'd like to make a quick statement. Let's cut the bullshit As you know, there's no filter with me. I've always been upfront and blah blah blah, emotional appeal to the parasocial relationship he has with his audience and the false sense of familiarity he has with them to soften the blow. First and foremost, I do want to apologize, PR bullshit, etc., etc. A lot of people have been left in the dark about what happened yesterday with Midnight Society and we made the painful decision collectively to have me step down. This is the equivalent of telling your friends that the breakup was mutual after getting dumped. Midnight Society did not seem to indicate at all that this decision was a team effort. Let's see, yada yada yada. Were there Twitch whisper messages with an individual minor back in 2017? The answer is yes. Okay, cool. That's all I needed. Where's my gavel? Case closed. Seems that Dr. Disrespect the Institution of Marriage also realized how bad that line sounded because he went back and edited out the word minor exactly a minute later, only to panic and change it back when he realized that the editing history of tweets is completely public. Now, this statement is extremely long and filled with super edgy catchphrases like, "But trust me when I say this, to all my haters that live and breathe social media with zero real-life experience, I don't give a f*** about you." Or my personal favorite, "They want me to disappear. Yeah? Right. Cue sick guitar riff, pyrotechnics fade to black." It's actually kind of insane to watch him try to spin the narrative, rally his followers as if he's some kind of underdog, instead of an extremely wealthy, influential adult who took advantage of a teenager. Apparently, there were no real intentions. The conversations just sometimes lean too much in the direction of being inappropriate. Nothing illegal happened. He insists that calling him a predator or a file is a gross exaggeration, despite going through the full catalog of excuses rattled off by any creep that gets caught by Chris Hansen with their pants around their ankles.
Something I gotta tell you. I'm Chris Hansen with Dayline NBC, and we're doing a story on it.
He has nothing further to say.
But I think what's more interesting than what's in this statement is what's not in this statement. Despite a vocal minority still insisting that the downfall of this unlicensed doctor is due to cancel culture run amok, his tweet omits a lot of context that could easily clear his name. For instance, explaining that he just wasn't aware of the person's age when he was messaging them, or sharing the content of the messages. The fact that he doesn't present these defenses and uses such nebulous language all but confirms the worst case scenario. That, as a former Twitch employee put it, as reported by Rolling Stone, he was made aware by the individual that they were underage during the conversation, after which he indicated that this was no problem and continued on. At this point, YouTube has demonetized Dr. Disrespect's channel, and despite his confidently insisting that he will be back to making content after a little, "Sorry honey, I DM'd a minor, will you still love me if I take you to Bora Bora" hiatus, I sincerely hope that this was his last stream.
Sort of a planned vacation coming up, and I think I might just extend that starting today, starting now.
But before we continue, I'd like to take a second to talk about today's sponsor, Dragon City. They've added a custom Funky Frog decoration to the game just for you guys, and you can scan this QR code to get it right now. That's right, a special decoration from my channel that will go perfectly with all the magical habitats and buildings in your city. There's nothing like building a virtual empire filled with powerful dragons to give me the illusion of control over my life that I don't don't actually have. Dragon City lets me collect, hatch, and evolve over 1,000 unique dragons, then test their strength in PvP battles with other dragon masters to dominate the leaderboard. You can also unleash powerful dragon skills and strategies to conquer challenging quests and events. With over 450 million installs, you will be joining a vibrant community of players who you can make alliances with to unlock exclusive rewards. Download Dragon City by clicking the link in the description or scan the QR code to get the Funky Frog decoration instantly. But that's not all, you'll also get 15,000 food, 30,000 gold, and the very rare spaceship dragon to start your Dragon Master journey. So what are you waiting for? Embark on an adventure filled with enchanting quests, ancient legends, and mythical creatures by downloading Dragon City today. Now, if you're as chronically online as I am, you might have seen the names Brooke Schofield and Clinton Kane floating around. Actually, I don't even think you need to be that chronically online. It's been everywhere. Brooke Schofield is the co-host of the popular podcast Cancelled and ex-girlfriend of largely unknown, allegedly Australian artist Clinton Kane, who recently posted a TikTok with the caption, "When you've been over the relationship for 2 years, but she won't stop yapping."
Part 7, you guys. He said she can't stop yapping. I'm like, I will show you yapping.
This prompted Brooke to release a 13-part series on her TikTok detailing Clinton's behavior during their relationship, but don't worry, if you felt intimidated by the wall of white robes, I'm gonna break everything down as quickly as possible, and then I'm going to never think about either of these people ever again, because at this point, I know more about their lives than I know about the lives of my own flesh and blood relatives. Here we go. Brooke says that she was a fan of Clinton when he first reached out to her over Instagram DMs and even offered to fly her out to Vegas, which she declined. After constantly messaging her over the next few months, Clinton invited her to a show he was performing in LA. Brooke says she was far more impressed with him in person and agreed to see a show the next day, which ended with them drunkenly making out in a club. Clinton told her that his mom, dad, and brother had all died the previous year. After taking her on an extravagant date, Clinton messaged her afterwards saying that he had just found out that he had COVID and insisted that she quarantine with him at his hotel. They soon transferred from the lavish hotel to a beachside Airbnb, with Clinton acting extremely possessive the entire time. During a traffic stop, Brooke was shocked to find out that Clinton had lied about his age when a cop revealed that Clinton was actually 3 years younger than he had told her. Later, Clinton threw a tantrum when Brooke was looking at her phone during dinner, using his supposed traumatic past with a neglectful mother as an excuse. This was a pattern that would continue throughout the relationship, with Clinton having intense breakdowns and accusing Brooke of triggering them by acting like his mother. Clinton then went on a podcast with Zach Sang, trauma dumping about his experience of attending his family's funerals over Zoom due to COVID travel restrictions. After Brooke posted a TikTok with Clinton, the comments section informed her that he had cheated on his ex with 15 other people, including Brooke, which Clinton admitted to. Later, she overheard Clinton begging his manager to get the Zach Sang interview taken down, and when she investigated, found a commenter who claimed to have grown up with Clinton, that his Australian accent was completely fake, and that his mother was very much alive. After instigating a fight to escape him, Brooke went home to do a little digging and found out that Clinton was not only not Australian, but almost every detail of his entire childhood was completely fabricated. But when she tried to confront Clinton, he gaslit her so intensely, she decided to stay, though they would later break up when Brooke found out that Clinton had been cheating on her with several other people. During the breakup, Brooke pretended to have been in contact with his dead mother, and this bluff succeeded in getting Clinton to admit that only his father had passed away, and time! How did I do? Clinton has predictably turned off the comment section on his newest post, and in a recent interview claimed that he'd only said he'd lost a motherly figure, not his actual mommy.
Everyone, my mom's dead. Just say it, Zach. Say it to my face.
An excuse likely insufficient to salvage his career, though I'm sure he'll be doing whatever this is, pretending to be Australian in the spotlight for as long as he can, and we are all worse people for having devoted even a fraction of our limited time on Earth to his existence.
Sorry to interrupt you, mate.
Love ya.
Also,
that was the strongest your accent's been since you've been in here.
Yeah.
It sounded pretty American until you just said sorry.
Oh no! My bad! Sorry, mate! Kangaroo, kangaroo, crocodile, kangaroo, a dingo ate my— There are so many wonderful words that begin with the letter N. Neurodivergent, narrativization, nephrolithotomy, they roll off the tongue nicely, don't they? Out of all these words, there's just one that's off limits if you don't meet a certain melanin threshold. But that forbidden fruit turned out to be too tempting for Lily Gaddis, conservative pundit hopeful and trad wife poser who casually dropped the no-no word during a cooking video posted to her TikTok account.
I'm sick and tired of all girls getting blamed, or like guys, certain guys, thinking that all girls are gold diggers. I don't know if it's because you get your information from those street interviews in like Miami at 3 a.m. outside of a nightclub. You're getting the opinion of some dumb immigrants fresh off the boat looking for a green card.
Wow, great start. So if you want financial stability from a partner, you must either be promiscuous or an immigrant. So write that down.
Everybody I know who's married right now, they're married to broke ass.
Uh-oh. Whoops-a-daisy. Someone just got their invite to the potluck revoked. No more deviled eggs or Jell-O salad for you, Missy. I love how she started stumbling over her words as she got closer and closer to saying it. Come on now. Don't be shy.
All I ask of a man is that you're competent, you're not a pussy. If somebody broke into our house at 3 a.m., you would know how to grab a gun and shoot a mother. I don't give a about your money. My dating history consists of all broke guys.
Isn't that interesting how you were able to communicate the exact same thing the second time without using a slur? But see, that's the thing. Lily needed to use a slur because she's been begging for the attention of the far right for a while now, trying to become the next knockoff version of Pearl, and she wasn't getting results fast enough. So what better way to speed things up than to post herself dropping the N-bomb and wait for an army of unhooded Klansmen to white knight for her?
So a recent video of mine seems to have upset members of a certain community, and all the backlash just really made me, just really do a deep dive, like do a soul search. And after all that, I still couldn't find a care.
Lily has made it crystal clear that she has no intention of apologizing, and why would she? She's quite literally spelled out for us that this was a calculated move to secure her position as a political talking head. Thanks, Black community, for helping to launch my new career in conservative media. You all played your roles well, like the puppets that you are. She has wasted absolutely no time hopping into the right-wing media circus, circuit, with both feet.
I've always been somewhat active on social media and always super outspoken with my beliefs and stuff because they're correct.
Her Twitter feed is full of all the hot button issues your least favorite family member likes to bring up over Christmas dinner, like abortion misinformation and vaccine hysteria, all peppered with a rainbow of colorful vocabulary. Her desperation to appeal to the bigotry of her audience often borders / completely crosses over into the realm of the absurd with tweets like, "I'm sorry, but black gays are more gay than white gays." Huh? And those sheep have been more than the illegals coming over the border. Huh? She has warped her entire social media presence to audition for America's Biggest Pick-Me, haunting the wet dreams of racist men over 35 like the ghost of Griftmas future so she can cash in on the outrage economy.
Don't even get me started on the self-affirmation and the star signs and your rocks and your crystals. These rocks and your what even is that? Like, what the And they're not even cheap either. Like, girls will spend a bag getting these stupid gay crystals and rocks.
And then here's a damn ass gay damn ass rock.
She talks like a middle schooler who recently learned a new swear word and keeps repeating it in class while anxiously looking around to make sure all the other kids are laughing.
So all those nerds in high school, like the weird theater kids and the anime people and you know who I'm talking about, the people we didn't hang out with.
Hey, you gotta you got a little thread just right there. Can I get that for you, please?
So they've grown up now, and they're the ones making the laws. They're the Mark Zuckerbergs. They're the Faucis of the world of nerds.
Don't worry, if you just hold still for just a second.
They're the theater kids who grew up, and now they're telling me and you what to think. They're telling me and you what to do, and they're making the laws in this country. Well, it's time to stand the up and stop being scared. Like, why are we scared of these people?
There, got it. Wow, that was driving me crazy. Anyways, what dumb were you saying?
Hey, America. Hey, people not having kids. You are some stupid motherfuckers out there. You're getting married. You have some fucking dog in a stroller like a we're letting the birth rates decline, and I'm speaking particularly to white people. So today, I want you to take the time out of your day to thank a single mom, because us girls getting knocked up, we're the only ones helping with the declining birth rate.
Did you just try to sneak in a little dash of the great replacement theory right there at the end? You naughty girl. That's super cringe. But despite hitting all the right talking points, Lily might have shown her hand a bit too much, because while her antics might impress the average Twitter Blue subscriber, larger conservative media outlets like the Daily Wire aren't so eager to take the bait.
Any woman who wants to be a TikTok influencer is by definition not a traditional wife. Traditional wives, along with not having TikTok accounts, also don't use vulgar language, especially in public. Just because somebody manages to make a video that upsets the left, that doesn't mean that they should be embraced as a hero of the right or as a conservative influencer.
Isn't it sad when you have to tell your audience, hey guys, we can't be friends with everyone who says the N-word? In attempting to be as non-PC as possible, Lily has made herself so unpleasant that even Matt Walsh got the ick. This seems like it could be a case of Icarus flying a little too close to the big red sun, and her ticket to ride the conservative carousel of podcasts and interviews and live streams might be a short trip instead of the long-term gig she was hoping for. Lily will probably try to milk every last possible cent she can out of this brief moment in the spotlight. She has to, given that her digital footprint has not only costed her her job, but will likely prevent her from securing a normal 9-to-5 ever again. Now it's time to announce the Internet Idiot Award, a segment where I barely disguise my unbridled rage against online stupidity with an official ceremony. And today's winner of the Internet Idiot Award is Dr. Kenny Smiles. Now, Dr. Kenny was actually put in timeout by the commentary community several months ago for his sexual harassment of female clients and employees.
Now I'm crying mess.
Yeah, now you're all flustered, like we just f***ed or something.
I don't know about you, but there's only one orifice on my body that I want my dentist to be involved in, and he shouldn't have to unbuckle his belt to access any of his tools. Recently, Dr. Kenny has come under fire again, this time for targeting a barista with some unwanted drive-through dentistry.
I have a question. Can I fix your teeth?
I'm sorry, what happened to hello? How are you? I used to be a barista like you, then I took a pumpkin spice latte to the side of the head.
I've been looking for somebody to do so.
I do that so good.
Oh my god.
I'm dead serious.
I'm serious dude.
I would slay that.
Please, because I've missed 2 teeth when I was
I know, you missed
yeah.
your laterals, or your canines grew and like had to be shifted into their space, and it just is not like ever gonna look good.
Now, if you saw that and are thinking to yourself, wow, she's really excited to get her teeth fixed, you have never worked a customer service job a day in your life. She's pulling the classic nod and smile maneuver, yes-anding him through the drive-thru so she can go back to work because she's at work. When losers like Dr. Kenny film people at their jobs for views, they not only create a captive audience, but also a captive actor who has to play nice for the camera because they're on the clock. And this becomes extremely apparent when Kenny Boy whips around the drive-thru to broadcast his own generosity.
So I decided to turn my car back around because I got a little bit more of a surprise in store for her.
It's not your birthday? I think today's your birthday.
Here it comes.
there was any doubt that this girl was uncomfortable with their interaction, she literally flees from the window when she sees him and gets her manager.
I already drove through the line once and told her I could fix it, but I wanted to drive through it again and actually surprise her with telling her I'm not going to charge her for it.
You don't understand, sir. She missed her cue. She's ruining my epic video.
But I don't know if she's still here or not. I was here 5 minutes ago.
Is that you that had your camera out?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably why she didn't come back over here.
But it's what this creep with the camera did after he was informed that the barista was not interested in his services that showed his true colors.
I don't get people. She would not come to the window, and her boss came instead. Sometimes if the camera's out, something good might happen. It's not always bad. Well, you snooze, you lose.
You snooze, you lose? Your head must be far enough up your own ass to perform a hands-free colonoscopy if you thought posting this would make you look good. He tried to publicly shame her to his audience of over 700,000 because she didn't appreciate him insulting her appearance to promote his business. Of course, this spectacularly backfired and the video has long since been taken down, but I'm sure this isn't the last time that Dr. Kenny will damage what's left of his reputation. Dr. Kenny smiles? More like Dr. Kenny frowns, and we're done. This has been the Internet Report. Thank you all for watching, and make sure to comment down below what you think I should report on next time. Remember, here on the internet, nothing's real, nothing matters, and no one can be trusted. Goodbye.
The woman, the wife, she is the homemaker. She takes care of the home, she takes care of herself, and she does the cooking and the cleaning.
We like cooking, we like running a home, we like supporting our husbands and having good marriages.
This is the greatest work I will ever do. Being a mother, wife, mother, wife, mother, wife, mother, wife, mother, wife.
Have you seen this video?
Okay, that's my birthday present from Daniel. Hoping they're tickets to Greece.
Where's it from?
I don't know, the boys took it off.
From Ukraine.
So, plane tickets?
That's Hannah Nealman, who goes by Ballerina Farm on TikTok, where she has over 9.6 million followers. She might have come across your For You page before, making meals from scratch while a football team roster of children trade turns clinging to her. Hell, she's one step away from making the mozzarella for this lasagna with her own breast milk. What do you think her husband, Daniel Nealman, son of millionaire founder of multiple airlines, got his wife of 13 years for her birthday? I'll give you a hint. It's not tickets to Greece. Not even with that sweet family discount.
Ooh, a hat I can wear in Greece.
It's not a hat.
Oh, my egg apron! Eggs in it.
Great, then you can gather eggs. You're welcome.
Thanks, honey.
People really didn't enjoy watching the light leave a demure housewife's eyes after opening a disappointing gift while her husband loomed over her and demanded her gratitude. For some strange reason. But they became even more concerned after...
Can I help you?
Oh, don't mind me. I'm just making a YouTube video. Love what you've done with the furniture, by the way. Can I keep going, or...
Can you fold clothes?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Continue.
Right. Okay. But they became even more concerned after Megan Agnew published her experience interviewing, or rather, trying to interview Hannah on their Utah farm for the Sunday Times. According to Megan, it was difficult to talk to Hannah without her husband or a child chiming in with their opinion. Hannah is presented as the queen of tradwives, seemingly able to do the impossible, popping out babies like a Pez dispenser while maintaining a beauty pageant-ready body, somehow juggling all the tasks required to raise a rapidly growing family. But Megan's article also offers a peek behind the curtains, some insight into what goes on when the cameras are off, and I want to highlight a couple of disturbing details. Hannah is a talented dancer and was attending Juilliard, an incredibly prestigious performing arts college, when she was introduced to Daniel. Bum bum bum. Daniel insists that he wanted to marry Hannah the moment he laid eyes on her, but that Hannah dodged his advances for 6 months. One day, when Hannah offhandedly mentioned her flight back to Juilliard, Daniel pulled strings at JetBlue, since his father was an owner, and made sure that he got the seat right next to hers, which is,
so romantic.
Horrifying. I was gonna say horrifying. Using daddy's influence to be in close proximity with a woman who rejected you for hours while thousands of feet in the air? If this had been used as a plot device in a horror movie, I would have said it was unrealistic. I guess Daniel can buy plane tickets if it means he's gonna get some tail. Hannah wanted to date for a year so that she could finish school, but Daniel was going for that Mormon marriage speedrun world record, I guess, so after 1 month, they were engaged, 2 months after that, they were married, and 3 months after that, she was pregnant with their first child. The article describes Hannah's life as slowly being smothered by the expectations of her husband and the needs of her children. Daniel doesn't want to hire a nanny, so Hannah takes care of their 8 children alone. Hannah only experiences the pain relief of an epidural during the one birth Daniel didn't attend. The barn that was going to be a dance studio becomes a schoolhouse, and Hannah's sequined gowns are moved into the garage. Slowly but surely, the dreams of the ballerina are pushed out of the picture, while a tiny framed dancer hangs above the stove as a reminder of the life she could have had.
But hold on, have you seen the Nealman's response video?
I'm sorry, who are you again?
A physical representation of your inability to resist an unnecessary costume change.
Huh?
Sorry, I mean a simplified characterization of your ideological opposition that interrupts the video periodically for comedic effect.
Wow, how creative. No YouTuber has ever done this before.
Some might call me a straw man, but I go by Nancy.
Well, you're right, Nancy. The Nealmans did post a response video. They were, not happy.
A couple of weeks ago, we had a reporter come into our home to learn more about our family and business. We thought the interview went really well. We were taken back, however, when we saw the printed article, which shocked us and shocked the world by being an attack on our family and my marriage, portraying me as oppressed, with my husband being the culprit. This couldn't be further from the truth. Nothing we said in the interview implied this conclusion, which leads me to believe the angle taken was predetermined. We aren't done having babies. We are excited for our new farm store to open, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for the rest of it. But for now, I'm doing what I love most, being a mother, wife, a businesswoman, a farmer, a lover of Jesus, and making meals from scratch.
That British had an agenda.
Whoa, careful there, Nancy. We wouldn't want your husband to overhear you using that unladylike language, now would we? Contrary to popular belief, journalists are human, and humans have biases. Megan did not put a lot of effort in to conceal hers, and while I ultimately agree with many of her points, I think the article was diluted by her personal speculations about the Nealmans and her sloppy social commentary.
It was so bad she had to retract it and write an apology.
I don't know how that rumor started. The original article is still available, and Megan's follow-up was a retrospective, not a retraction. It's important to note that while the Nealmans disagreed with Hannah being framed as a victim, they didn't deny any of the basic details about their relationship that Megan published in either their video response or the statement on their website. Speaking of websites.
Is that really the segue you're going with?
Yep, speaking of websites, I'd like to take a second to talk about today's sponsor, Opera. The Opera desktop browser is packed with tons of unique features like a built-in ad blocker that can get rid of pesky pop-ups with a single click, and a toggleable VPN that can protect your privacy online. Say goodbye to boring browsers and customize your experience with fun wallpapers like this epic animation of that lawyer guy from that one show. When I'm working on a video, it doesn't take long before I am buried in tabs, but the Opera Tab Island feature keeps related tabs organized into collapsible groups, so I can keep track of all of my super important research. You can even label each tab with its own unique emoji. That's right, I'm putting poop emojis on all of these tabs and no one can stop me. Opera lets me detach my YouTube videos into a floating window so I can feed my fried dopamine receptors that sweet, never-ending stream of content that they crave no matter where I navigate on my computer. It's also convenient to play music from the sidebar, so the angelic voice of Chapel Roan is always there to motivate me. The Opera Assistant Aria is also easy to access from the command line, providing explanations or translations when you highlight any text using real-time information from the web. Click the first link in my description and download the Opera desktop browser for free today.
Okay, are you done now?
But regardless of your feelings about Megan Agnew's interview and whether or not Hannah Nealman even identifies with the label, the article has once again ignited a fierce debate about tradwives. And I'm here to introduce something to the conversation: the internet's kryptonite, nuance. Oh my god!
I left the oven on!
Female hysteria. Am I right? You see, while many are mourning the crushed dreams of the ballerina turned housewife, others are a lot more skeptical.
I don't feel bad for Hannah Nealman of Ballerina Farm, because she lives in a hell of her own making. Hannah wasn't some naive, sheltered girl who never saw anything of the world. She chose to marry her husband, and she chose to give up her dream of being a ballerina. And now she chooses to glamorize her lifestyle and influence young women all over the world through her social media profiles. She is a willing participant in all of these things. When do we as women start to hold each other accountable for our own choices?
I completely get how it can be incredibly frustrating to watch thousands of people lavish unwanted pity on someone as privileged as Hannah Nealman. It's easy to say that she chose this life and seems happy, so why should we care? But I think this dismissal of Hannah's experience as a choice she made greatly underestimates the influence of religion.
Dinner's ready.
Okay, cool. You cannot analyze the—
I said dinner's ready!
Okay, I'm coming. You cannot analyze the Ballerina Farm outside of the context of Mormonism. Both Hannah and Daniel are practicing Mormons and were raised in traditional Mormon families. Now, religion isn't really my thing anymore, but I did devote almost 2 decades of my life to it. While I wasn't raised Mormon, I was taught many of the same values that Hannah was, and like Hannah, was on the receiving end of some very intense messaging quite literally since birth.
So I'm a former Mormon tradwife. I have 6 kids. I'm 38 years old. I don't have an education. I got married young. I had kids young, and I absolutely gave up on my hopes and dreams to choose the life that I have now. Now that I've been out of the church for 3 years, I will tell you that I was never actually given a choice. It's not fair to show someone 10 candy bars and say, hey, you can choose this candy bar, which is the right candy bar that you should choose, or you can choose these 9, which are poisonous and deadly, and if they don't kill you, they're going to kill all of your friends and family members. What would you like to choose?
If you haven't had the experience of being raised in a conservative religion that has a strong emphasis on gender roles and preserving a patriarchal hierarchy, it can be hard to understand just how much every single aspect of your life is influenced by the mandates of the church.
As an ex-Mormon woman, here's what I think is getting lost in a lot of the discourse around the Times article about Ballerina Farm. It's been super invalidating to see a lot of people saying, how dare we disempower a woman by suggesting that she cannot be happy making bread and making babies. It completely disregards the intense every fiber of your being messaging that Mormon women and also many other Christian women get about their only value add to society is as wife is as mother, is as homemaker.
These aren't influences that are easy to shake off either. You can't just run out the doors, dye your hair green, get an adventurous piercing that later rejected and move on with your life. Trust me, I tried that. And depending on your flavor of religion, the consequences for leaving, both in this life and the next, can be quite extreme.
I have a little bit of insight into this because I was raised Mormon. We are taught at a very, very young age what our roles are and how we are going to get into heaven. And as a woman, you have a uterus and you are there to populate the earth with as many Mormons as you can. Did you know that when a Mormon couple is married in the church, they're bound to each other, okay? But they're not just bound together in life, they are bound together in eternity. If she were to leave him, she would still be bound to him. However, she would lose access to her children in eternity. They would no longer be hers. They are his. They belong to him. For a devout Mormon, that is terrifying. It's so much deeper than she's just promoting traditional values. This is the stuff that's been told to her whole life.
So, are you really making a fair choice if you believe one option will lead to you losing everything you love and damning your immortal soul? Amen! Fellas, is it okay to feel bad for rich, white, cis, straight, able-bodied women? That's like a super loaded question. I like to think that empathy isn't a limited resource, and that the conversations surrounding these very visible, affluent families, like the Nealmans, can act as a barometer for the messaging trickling down to the less fortunate. Because as much as Hannah doesn't want to associate with the trad wife label and insists that she's just living her life, online content doesn't exist in a vacuum. It exists in the context of coconut trees, etc. You get it. Millions of people are consuming her videos every day, buying the fantasy that she is selling because, let's be clear, the lifestyle presented by Hannah and other ironically named trad wife influencers is a fantasy. When Nara Smith glides into frame in full glam describing the Michelin star meal she's preparing for her toddlers, she isn't exactly representing the experience of an actual traditional wife.
Oh, she is so beautiful and thin, and her kitchen is always so clean.
Exactly. She is posting a carefully manufactured image. An image, like the Nealmans' hypnotically neutral-colored farmhouse, that is tastefully propped up with immense amounts of wealth. In fact, Nara Smith's content is even further removed from reality than the ballerina farm. While Hannah has to fend off sticky, curious hands, Nara's kitchen is a sacred, well-lit domain where children are conveniently occupied by unseen helpers until the last few seconds of the video.
When I asked my toddlers what they wanted for lunch, they both wanted a grilled cheese, so that's exactly what I got started on. And the kids absolutely devoured this.
I bet they did. They had to wait 2 business days for lunch. The camera is not a passive observer. It's an active participant. Nara's kids couldn't give less of a that their mom made the bread and cheese for their sandwiches. It's all for you, the viewer. There's a reason you don't see trad wife influencers cleaning stains out of shirts, scrubbing toilets, or... Nancy.
Sorry.
That effortlessness is part of the brand. Every ingredient needed to satisfy her family's random requests just so happens to be lying around, even to the point of absurdity.
My sister's in town to visit, and she's been craving bubblegum so bad, but she ran out, so I just decided to make it for her. Before combining my gum base with some corn syrup, we were about to go to bed when I realized that we were all out of toothpaste, and so he started out by measuring something to make clean.
Are we shopping at the same grocery stores? I don't think I've leveled up enough to unlock the aisles where they sell this stuff. The thing is, though, not all trad wife influencers are created equal. Some, like Hannah and Nara, simply film a curated view of the gender roles their faith dictates. Others use their platforms to directly promote marital submission as prescribed in religious texts like the Bible. And then there are those that simply throw on an apron for a few minutes to farm engagement. But all of these women contribute to a growing body of content that either implicitly or explicitly promotes the idea that a woman's place is in the home, that her delicate femininity can only survive within its walls. The trad wife influencer is a paradox, promoting a simple domestic life while she herself enjoys the freedom of expression and financial independence that women were denied for centuries. These women aren't traditional. They're business owners LARPing the 1950s. Just like your average nerd wants to get hammered and run around Ren Fair in chainmail without contracting the bubonic plague, these women want to wear vintage clothing and promote vintage ideals without acknowledging the troubling history behind the aesthetic. Because as much as conservatives bemoan the loss of high-value women posting montages of the good old days with vaguely racist undertones, the perfect housewives of the past were famously subjected to lobotomies or had to sedate themselves with barbiturates just to tolerate their lives.
What? This is just mommy's little helper.
Of those who managed without medical assistance, many did so by sacrificing their own health and happiness over and over and over again.
People like you always act like we're one TikTok away from the Handmaid's Tale. We just want to stay home, bake bread, and have babies. Why are you so threatened by us?
This script has been sitting on my computer for a while now because I know that my job can basically be boiled down to professional talker, but I don't want to talk about these women. They're beautiful, they make delicious food, and I'm sure they love spending time with their families. It's just, when I see the commentary surrounding these trad wife accounts, I can't help but feel like the more this content is popularized, the more efforts for women's equality will begin to erode, because this has happened before. Writer and activist Betty Friedan noticed a bizarre phenomenon that swept the United States during the 50s and 60s. Despite the leaps in progress made for women's rights in the preceding decades, young girls were suddenly retreating back into the home, getting married younger than ever, having more children than ever, with no other aspiration outside the role of housewife. Despite what Mary Poppins might imply, the protests for women's suffrage weren't cutesy choreography and frilly petticoats. Women starved themselves, were imprisoned, and even killed fighting for their rights to vote, to work, and to be educated. If these women in recent memory had suffered so much, how could their own daughters and granddaughters flee from such dearly won freedom? What happened? Friedan describes a creeping influence that began to permeate American life. Slowly but surely, the stories of brave heroines pursuing success and reports on world affairs were choked out of women's magazines by advice columns on happy marriages, sandwiched between ads for vacuum cleaners. Women's college attendance plummeted, and of those who did graduate, few went on to pursue a career. Why should they? The very educators whose responsibility it was to foster their intellect were the ones telling them over and over again that they would have to choose between having a family and having a job. The memory of the suffragette was distorted into an ugly, bitter spinster who compromised her own womanhood by demanding the same rights as men. Sound familiar? Women weren't forced into the home. They were gently lured back inside through the combined efforts of advertisers, academics, and politicians who all benefited from maintaining the status quo that suffragettes had upset. They sold women an idea that Friedan coined the feminine mystique, the title of her book. That's right, I'm one of those YouTubers who has books in their videos now. Friedan defines the feminine mystique as the assumption that women can find fulfillment through marriage and motherhood alone. But in her own experience, and the experience of countless other housewives across the country, even amongst the most socially privileged, this traditional position left them with intense feelings of dissatisfaction, fatigue, and general unhappiness. Now, to be clear, the feminine mystique has its serious blind spots. And when I say serious, I mean serious. But the warnings in this book are unfortunately as relevant today as they were in 1963. That the packaging for patriarchal values can be very pretty. In fact, they can be presented as reaffirming women's femininity, protecting them from the harshness of the outside world. Women should consider themselves lucky that they get to stay home and fulfill their biological destiny while men, I don't know, explore the stars. As Friedan puts it, protectiveness has often muffled the sound of doors closing against women.
Wait a second.
Nah, here we go.
I know what you are.
Say it. Out loud. Say it.
A feminist!
And it's at this point that I am forced to acknowledge that I am the traditionalists' worst nightmare. The thing that makes them toss and turn at night, terrified that their daughters will turn into a hairy, opinionated, tattooed, gender nonconforming, unmarried freak with too many piercings that lives alone with their cat.
We're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies.
But worst of all, a feminist, a man-hater who draws unsuspecting girls to their doom with my siren's call, hell-bent on destroying the country.
But don't worry, you can kill them by driving a stake through their heart.
No, Nancy, that's vampire. Actually, technically you could kill a lot of things that way.
See?
There is so much misinformation about feminism online that it would probably be easier for me to explain to you what feminism is by telling you what it isn't.
I'm not a feminist. I can see men and I don't immediately feel threatened.
Actually, I have many male friends, and I'm dating a man. Sorry, Chaperone, I have failed you.
I'm not a feminist. I can wear dresses and feel pretty.
Not to brag or anything, but I actually think I look pretty phenomenal in a dress. Not that one, though. That one is, hideous.
I'm not a feminist. Thank you.
That's actually just basic politeness that everyone should participate in. The only factor that should determine who opens a door for who is whoever gets there first.
I'm not a feminist. I don't hate children.
Ah, those crazy feminists getting abortions for fun every weekend, hissing at passing strollers and plucking infants from cradles to put them in delicious children's stew.
No, you're talking about witches.
Nancy, language. There are so many feminists that are literally parents. I myself worked in childcare for many years, and even though, yes, they're excellent sources of protein, I am proud to say that no kids died on my watch.
I'm not a feminist. I can actually cook.
Cooking is actually like a super important skill that everyone should learn. Feminism views domestic tasks like cooking and cleaning as legitimate forms of labor instead of just assumed responsibilities for women. It's traditional men, not feminists, who view these tasks as beneath them, perhaps even openly bragging about not being able to do basic household chores.
I'm not sure in our entire marriage if I've ever done a full load of laundry.
I have not done anything around the house for 40 years. I've been a completely useless.
Mrs. Shapiro said, I'm not sure Ben knows how to do laundry, so I'll go with the dishes.
Ah, Nancy, can you do a quick tutorial for these poor, helpless men? Step 1, put clothes in washing machine. Step 2, put soap in washing machine. Step 3, let me know if I'm going too fast. Step 3, turn washing machine on.
I'm anti-feminist. Of course I birthed my baby at home.
There are countless very personal reasons why somebody might choose to have their baby at home or in a hospital. But the fact that you, and not the father of your child, were the one to make that decision is because of feminism.
I'm anti-feminist. Of course I track my menstrual cycle instead of taking toxic birth control.
Fertility awareness methods require a lot of discipline and are shown in studies to be less effective than other methods even when followed perfectly. But yet again, it is feminism that gives you this choice.
I'm anti-feminist. Of course I healed my menstrual cycle with raw liver and beef after 8 years of veganism.
What are you talking about? What does beef have to do with anything?
I'm anti-feminist. Of course I know I can do whatever a man can do. Why would I want to?
Huh? Okay, clearly you guys need some help. So here are some actual critiques of feminism. You could point out that historically the movement has excluded people of color. Nancy, are you writing this down?
The movement has historically...
As well as LGBTQ+ voices. In fact, a very prominent Harry Potter writing feminist has been spearheading a black mold-fueled campaign against trans people For years now. I hope you like the taste of lawsuits, JK. But if you just want to call us ugly and mean, that's okay too, I guess. Though maybe you should shut the up and sit the down because, you know, you're not feminist, so maybe you should let the men do the talking. They're really good at it.
There isn't a woman on planet Earth that doesn't want to be led by their man.
No guy that wants to be with a girl that has a for sale sign on her.
Let me see the stats. What's your body count? How old are you? How much you weigh? Tell me.
What's your body count?
There's something so painfully ironic about women using the freedoms that feminism won for them to bash feminism. Their ability to build a platform at all is because of the decades of hard work that the very women they ridicule devoted their lives to.
I'm not gonna lie, don't tell the feminists, but I would rather stay home and cook and clean. There's something within me as a woman, maybe it's almost turning 25, that got me thinking, like, this cooking and cleaning thing isn't bad. Like, I just don't understand why women wanted to work. What was the point? Like, there is nothing satisfying about working.
Hey Mallory, guess what? You are working. Posting content online and profiting off of it is by definition a job. Not to mention that labor you're doing for your husband is stuff that he would have to pay hundreds of dollars to get someone else to do. If you like pretending it's the 50s so much, why don't you put your money where your mouth is? Oh wait, nowhere, because women in the US didn't even have the right to open a bank account until 1974. Now, even though we've taken this little detour or long detour to talk about feminism, I'd like to point out that a lot of support that I've seen for tradwife content online has been from feminists. These feminists insist that the ability to choose between being a tradwife or not being a tradwife is what feminism is all about. And to a point, I do agree. But I think that feminism that only focuses on women's agency to make decisions and doesn't investigate the social pressures behind these decisions and consequences for these decisions leaves women vulnerable to exploitation. Because while these TikTokers get to cosplay being a tradwife, real stay-at-home moms suffer the consequences, and women deserve to know what they are risking. Ever wonder why you never seem to see older tradwife influencers? That's because a lot of older tradwives have stories to tell.
For those of you who don't know, I was a stay-at-home housewife from when I was 17 to nearly 27. I was incredibly submissive and I loved him absolutely unconditionally regardless of what he did to me. I wasn't allowed to get tattoos. He had absolute say over what I looked like. He would decide how I dressed, how I wore my hair. I learned how to cook like a chef because his expectation was, from the time I was, again, 17 years old, was that I made everything from scratch. When you leave, you have no ability to make your own money. You have no financial independence. You have to figure out how to untangle all of his wants over your needs. I am still a good 10, 15 years behind everyone else my age.
In 1995, got married. 1997, had my first baby. 2000, had my second. 2004, had my third. No career, no education beyond a high school diploma. It is what I wanted, having no understanding of the consequences that I'm now facing. And then fast forward to 2016, we're divorced, and I'm starting at the bottom with no job experience. Now I'm 49 years old. I'm struggling financially because I don't have 20 years of work experience. Being a stay-at-home mom is both rewarding and extremely sacrificing. I wish I had known then what I know now. I wish I had had people like me telling me what I'm telling you now.
You see, at the end of the day, I really don't care if a woman truly believes that she can achieve complete fulfillment through being a wife, a mother, and a homemaker. I promise I'm not gonna clockwork orange her with stock market charts and Excel tutorials. My real problem with the tradwife lifestyle is that it can be really dangerous. Traditional marriage is often explained as an equivalent exchange, support for security, comfort for cash.
The man, he is the provider, the main breadwinner. He goes out of the house and works. The woman, the wife, she is the homemaker.
But the husband is holding all the cards. If he decides to walk away from the table, the wife is left with no job, no education, and years of missing work experience. The wife's well-being is completely dependent on the goodwill of the husband. If he's a good guy, things are good. If he's a bad guy, things can get really bad, especially if the woman has been isolated from any outside support network. You add a dash of religious fervor, a pinch of social stigma against divorce, and you've got a recipe for misery gumbo.
But my husband would never do that. He loves me.
I really, truly, deeply hope that that's true. But how do you know for sure? And what if he changes?
That would never happen.
But so many women have said that and been proven wrong.
You're just jealous of me.
Nancy,
Why
Nancy,
can't you just let me
please
be
just
happy?
listen.
Get out! Get out of my house! Get out! Get out!
Well, I wish I could say that that was the first time someone's kicked me out for yapping too much. I'm sure there are going to be many people commenting paragraphs underneath this video citing historic precedent, religious text, biology, psychology, feminine and masculine energy, anything they can to convince me that a woman's natural place is in the home. But if it's so natural for women to be submissive housewives, why do so many men feel the need to scream at women from pulpits and podiums and places of power to stay in their place?
I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. You may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world.
Why so insistent that women's accomplishments must always come second to their duty as wife and mother, even when they cross the finish line first? Why do companies scramble to remind women to keep centering men in their lives, ridiculing the 4B movement so they can continue to sell men access to potential partners, but also sometimes potential victims? How many Einsteins have spent their lives washing dishes? How many Mozarts bent over stoves instead of pianos because they had the misfortune of being born a woman? While skimming through tradwife content on TikTok, I saw many women scoffing at the idea of fighting for equality. How could any woman prefer the rat race over peaceful domesticity? Because of those meddling feminists, I have to go to work in the morning.
And I just think about how so many of us, since we were little, we were raised in this kind of boss babe feminist society that told us you can be so much more than just a mom. You can be so much more than just a wife. And so many of us listened and we, tried to climb corporate ladders and we boss babed so hard. Now, we're a little bit boss babed out.
But that's just capitalism, babes, and I don't think becoming a tradwife is the clever exploit you think it is. It's just exchanging corporate drudgery for another form of servitude, a form of servitude that has no salary, no HR department, and no 401k. Not to mention that the reality for a lot of women is getting hit with the double whammy of working a 9 to 5 only to come home to a second shift of household duties and childcare that their male partner refuses to participate in. You might have noticed that there is a lack of statistics in this video. When I first started writing this, I had this idea in my head that I was going to make an absolutely watertight, highly researched essay like those super smart commentary YouTubers I like to watch who post a 7-hour-long video every other leap year. And maybe I will do that one day, but right now, if I'm being honest, I'm just tired. I shouldn't have to present statistics when I say that women have a wealth of contribution to offer industry and academia. Though, according to the Pew Research Center, women account for over 50% of the college-educated labor force in the United States. I shouldn't have to present statistics when I say it's a really bad idea for women to live their lives at the mercy of their husbands. Though, according to the National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1 in 4 women has experienced severe physical violence by an intimate partner. Because unlike a lot of people making videos on this topic, I've actually had to live this. I was raised by a traditional Christian wife in a traditional Christian community. There is a lot of hurt there that is not completely mine to share, but trust me when I say I have seen the terror men can wield when they believe that the submission of their wife and children is their God-given right. If you've been watching this and you feel like I've been a bit overdramatic, I don't blame you. But I would like to remind you that we have a presidential candidate who has surrounded himself with people whose involvement with Project 2025 is public knowledge. This document outlines plans to restrict women's access to healthcare and birth control, remove protections for LGBTQ+ people and people of color, and reinstate traditional gender roles as outlined by a certain interpretation of the Christian Bible. Amongst many other radical changes, it would be, as the kids say, a major letter L for the US. If you're a traditional wife, and even after everything I've said, you want to continue in this role, that's fine. Though I do hope you have a plan B in case things go wrong, and not the one Republicans are trying to ban. I want you to have the right to do so and have your decision be respected despite my reservations and experiences, but I also want a world where there's a place for me and people like me, so if your husband does let you participate in this election cycle, here's a quick tip. You can lie to him when he asks who you voted for. Maybe this video was just me screaming into the void wearing goofy costumes, but I hope I've given a voice to the fears that some of you viewers have also felt. I don't hate trad wives, not even the fake ones, but I felt like I had an obligation, given what I've been through, and given what the women in my life have been through, to talk about the realities of choosing this path. At best, the trad wife lives her life comfortably in a gilded cage. At worst, she's caught in a death trap.